Want to feel these pecs before we start? Oh, crap.
Nice gyno.
Thank you.
Why does everybody say that to everybody? It's just, every shirt size. Nice gyno, buddy. Gyno. Do you know what even that is?
Yeah, well, I don't know.
Okay, whatever, dude. Today, are we live?
Can't flex these pecs the way you used to.
Today's dumb question day. You guys gonna ask stuff like, "What will coming?" Do you get that one?
Oh yeah,
Does having sex stop your gains?
I've seen that one a bunch.
Uh,
I hope not.
does diet soda stop your gains? That was a new one. I'm trying to think of some that were just
I
like,
feel like real particular sometimes too about like Diet Coke versus like Coke Zero.
oh, I've never got that. I've never got it. I've never got it.
Like this
Stupid
getting-
and then stupider.
Yeah. Getting like sophisticated.
No, you can have squirt. You can't have Diet Coke.
Squirt.
You
Can't believe you're bringing up squirt.
Come on. Besides this, only Thailand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Makes for a good show in Thailand.
Mm-hmm.
If you can see, you can read it, or Jeff can do it.
I can't see.
Like, would you do keto?
Would I? I guess I have.
You've done some ketoing.
Yeah. What's the difference between a keto diet
It's just
and
like no carb.
a basic bodybuilding dry out week or depletion couple weeks before a show? No, but keto is no carbs, from what I understand.
Mhm.
So what's the difference?
Would it be just the fat?
There isn't really a difference. It's low carb.
Huh.
I mean, some people say real high fat, but I don't think it has to be.
Is that also? It's a good question. But yeah, keto diet is basically old school bodybuilding, or is bodybuilding
Mm-hmm.
a diet? So, have I since I was 13? Is the fat, just from these latest studies, is the fat kind of a removed thing now from keto diets?
I mean, it shouldn't be because
Have you seen it that way? You haven't read any research or seen
no,
that?
no. So sometimes people will take their fats way down because you take your fats way down, you'll get super shredded. So sometimes I think bodybuilders do that right before a show. Like you're not eating anything; you're just eating protein predominantly, right? I think
Tremendously.
a lot of people don't realize that. I shot a video recently talking about a lot of times bodybuilders when they're going on stage are in like a 40 to 50% of their calories are coming from protein. I think that people realize that bodybuilders eat a lot of protein. I think they understand that they have 200 to 300 grams of protein a day, and sometimes even more. But I don't think they understand that 30 to 40% of their calories is probably coming from protein, which is wild because
30 to 40.
that's
Isn't it more like 70 to 80?
it might be more like 50%. Like in the case of like Chris Bumstead, I think he was doing like they were saying that he was having like 1,200 to like 1,500 calories a day. I don't know what's true. I don't know if that's true or not. But and then on top, so you take that scenario, he's probably having 250 grams of protein a day. That would be
Which would
1,000,
be, yeah.
1,000 calories. So
Right.
you're right; it would be a large percentage. Yeah.
See, that's the first diet I've heard somebody say, calorie intake, sorry, that I do believe. Because I hear these numbers that these people talk about. And so on. I get my news from Snapchat. And so they always have this celebrity got in shape. How much was he? He was eating 5,000 calories to get ready for this movie. And I'm like, wow, I would love that.
But you're like, no, they're probably not eating that
Yeah.
much.
Well, maybe they are. I'm
Mm.
not going to say they're not. I'm just going to say that I've never been able to go in and win Mr. Universe or Mr. California or any of these shows with that many calories.
I remember years ago, I think it was Nicolas Cage was getting ready for a movie, and then they were talking about him being like 6% body fat. I was like, I just think that Hollywood doesn't know what they're talking about.
So, have you heard that stuff though?
Yeah.
Jeff, you've heard that, right? You heard this guy ate 5,000 calories to get ready for a movie, and I did it for 3 months, and this is my food. And I'm like, you ate chicken and broccoli, and it added up to 5,000 calories. I'm like, how
Yeah, they did that with Hugh Jackman most recently.
And they said
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he looked amazing. He looked
he looks ridiculous.
completely unbelievable. But then, yeah, they were saying he was eating like a lot of calories, and then he was talking about what he ate, and you're like, mm,
Right?
you're like,
I'm off season and I don't got 6,000 right now. When did say it again?
yeah, it was tilapia. Good luck.
You can get 50 grams and you're still below 200 calories.
That's a lot. Chicken tilapia. It's hard to get there with that.
Have you guys heard that? I like keto if you want to slice and dice. I just call it bodybuilding diet.
You switch your diets all the time.
I
You
do.
change them up with what
I
you're
do.
doing in accordance to the physicality. Is that how it works for you usually?
What do you mean by physicality?
In accordance to exercise selection, how you're going about doing the exercises, whether you're
It's a
yeah.
visual thing for me. It isn't about. It would be a visual thing. So if I'm getting ready for a movie, um, I want to look a certain way. So then the calories would change. And then also, if you go off of what you're saying, uh, like right now, definitely the calories are changed because I want to get really strong. And I also want to fix my metabolism.
That's what I mean by going with the physicality. You're like, I want to get strong, and so you're gonna throw in some carbohydrates and
Fix it is because I've been dieting, or in this case for you guys, keto dieting, I guess you would say. Um, I just call it bodybuilding dieting. I've been so low carbs that I understand that there's a process that I have to allow the body to utilize it again. It doesn't. It's not like a car.
mm-hmm.
You run out of gas, you put gas in, and it works. Don't you think?
Yeah, you got to get used to. I mean, I think it's the same thing with training adaptation. I think there's a food adaptation, right? It's
Good
gonna
point. Good
gonna
point.
take a little bit of time. Um, talking about like people that do a lot of fasting or people that maybe don't eat a lot of carbs, and then they go into having carbs. Sometimes, first of all, they're going into having pizza, but um, secondly, when they go into eating any carbohydrates, even if they're healthier carbohydrates, sometimes they really struggle, and it will hurt their stomach and blow them up and all these other things. But it's not necessarily it's the absence of carbohydrates that sort of caused that.
I agree with that 100%. What would you say to somebody that goes, uh, I'm, I can't have bread. Every time I have bread, I blow up.
Mm.
Could you tell them, do your friend? Do your friend?
Are you open to some criticism?
Yes.
Maybe it's because you don't typically eat bread that your body now has a problem with digesting bread when you have it.
Isn't that beautiful? I hope you guys listen to that because that right there is you can just go home and just understand that. So again, when I said that I'm letting my body fix itself by adding carbohydrates back in, I know that my body's a little shocked and doesn't understand what's going on, and so I have to let it do its thing, and it will pick up the speed again. And that's basically not as articulately as put as my linguistics master next to me, but it's great.
I think it's important to be patient with the diet. I think you do a good job of that because I hear you a lot of times say that you're doing something for X amount of weeks. Like we were just in the gym, in your gym, and you squatted 3 plates and some change and you did a 20-second pause at the bottom. You did a couple sets of that today, and you're like, oh, that was week 3. And then it kind of seems like you're on week 3 of the diet too. So the two things are going along with each other. But as I was pointing out to you earlier, I think people need to know that when you're dieting, whether you're bulking or cutting, or regardless of what it is, yeah, you got to have the courage to stay in the pocket, even when the defense is blitzing you, and even when people are flying by you and all hell's breaking loose. Because for 2 days, you'll look at yourself in the mirror and go, "Oh, I got it figured out. Everything's going really good." 2 days later, you're going to be like,
spilled over, went flat.
I'm fat, I'm flat, or you're too skinny, or what, too this or too that. But you have to kind of have to give yourself the grace to have a little bit of time. Take your time with it. Stay in the pocket. Remember why you're doing it. Remember what the end goal is, and just keep your eye on the prize and stick with it. Because most likely another week from now or so is probably where you're probably gonna get yourself to a point that you were hoping for.
Do you think when you start a diet that most people will look at starting a diet that they're not going, well, I've been dieting for a week. Why haven't I lost 20 pounds? But comprehension, they have enough common sense to go, it's going to take a little time. So why don't they have it on the reverse?
Mm.
So you guys, I hope that makes sense to you, but on the reverse, it should take a few weeks. I'm sorry, I wish it didn't, but it does.
I think everything takes like there's a delayed response by your body. I kind of feel like the body works in like a 3 day cycle. It seems like it's like trails behind by like 3 days. Delayed onset muscle soreness. I know that our digestive system works much faster than just on a 3 day pace, but a lot of times when somebody tells me that they feel crappy or they hurt this or hurt that, they're like, I can't pin it to anything. I can't figure out what I did. I'll say, what'd you do 3 or 4 days ago? And that's when they're like, oh yeah, I was playing football with my son. It's not from something they did in the gym or whatever. So I think the body kind of has a little bit of lag time, and you have to. It's a real pain in the ass, but you got to figure out a way to be patient.
So do you think that's why when you guys are, I'm going to take getting ready for a bodybuilding show, and you did this, you had to stop training with the weights at least by Wednesday to compete on Saturday. You also had to take your carbs out all the way up till Wednesday, and then maybe start filling out on Wednesday night or Thursday, which again is still 3 days till the show. So you're resting, you're eating more carbs, and you're doing it 3 days before your show to look your very best. Because you don't just start on Wednesday and you eat your carbs and you're like, oh, I'm ready to go on stage. It took a couple of days. I wonder if that's the curiosity that those guys before us already figured out, that there's a delay, and maybe 3 days delay seems to be the most accurate count.
There's definitely a delay. I think the more strenuous, the more strenuous something is that you're doing, probably the more delay that there is. So if you diet really hard, there can be a delayed response for you to get your body back. You and I've talked about this concept before of having the body work with you, and you working with your body rather than you working against it, you fighting it. We had a Brazilian jiu-jitsu coach come into our gym that we had on our podcast a few years ago, and his number one piece of advice to anybody that was starting jiu-jitsu was, don't fight back. And you do jiu-jitsu, so you understand what that means, and that's a hard thing to do. The hard thing to do, right? It's hard not to like want to fight, but same thing with your nutrition, same thing with your training. Don't fight it. Don't be a wimp about it, but don't fight it, and just you have to do your best to stick with it and to stay.
Can you say
in
the
that
name
pocket.
of the jiu-jitsu coach?
I'm trying to think of his damn name right now. It'll pop up in my head in a moment.
Give it to us later. Jeffrey, you had something. Yeah, give me something.
How dumb do you want? You want
I have a dumb question.
Okay, go with that.
Um,
Why is Mona with me?
no, actually,
Because
it
it's
does
me.
pertain to Mona
Oh,
though,
okay.
because so I wanted to know: is this true or is this just rumor? Did Mona start the "Baby Don't Hurt Me" campaign? Yes or no?
No,
Okay.
but she's definitely
But where'd it come?
continuing it.
But where'd it come from?
China? It did.
It did.
Yeah. Did it come before COVID? 2022? Yeah. It came from TikTok, from over there. Then it dominated on TikTok, and it worked its way over to Instagram. It's a little harsh.
Is it because they can hurt you, or is it because they actually can't hurt you?
Because I know what love is.
So that means they can hurt you,
Yeah.
and that's what the joke
Yes,
is.
that's what it is. I think I'm the joke. I don't know. Either way, it's funny.
I got to look into the lyrics of that song, Jeff. Maybe you can look them up. We can get into more. We can get into philosophical. Do you know like what handle or who did the first one,
I
or
don't.
do we have
And I
anybody to
wish
credit
it-
this whole thing to?
And it's such an iconic thing because it just exploded not for a
Amazing.
week like a lot of these things, but it's been going for 2 years.
Hmm.
But yeah, the only thing we know is that it started in China and then went from there. So it's okay. Got me the house in Ohio, so I'm okay with it.
That's great.
All right, go for yours, Jeffrey.
He said, "What do you prefer, free weights or machines?" Dumb question.
That's not that bad though.
Yeah, you get dumber, Jay.
Yeah. Thank you.
How many meals do you eat a day?
Well, let him go with this one real quick. Yeah. Do you want to try this one? Because you just talked about this.
Yeah.
He honestly talked about this morning.
Shit, they're both great. You know, I'd hate to have one without the other. If I was gonna pick, I would pick. I would probably pick machines and cables. Just the variety of different things you can do, and it just it. I mean, there's tons of variety you can do with
Yeah.
free weight, obviously, right? Um, yeah, I'll say machines. I'll just go with that.
And I'd go free weights, but I think they're both great. I think they're both great. I mean, we did back yesterday and deadlifts, but then the rest, deadlifts and bent over rows. And then the rest of the thing was on machines, seated rows, pull downs, Supermans was all machine.
What is it about the free weights you like? As Mark said, there's variety with the machines. What about
I like the stabilizing more range of motion with a free weight, with a bar. I can move through the motion differently. With most machines, it's locked into where the stack hits, and so
Mm-hmm.
I'm a pretty good sized guy, and so you can usually stack it, but then also flatten the stack out, touching. So I want more range.
Barbell, you have a huge advantage of like just training your whole body. You know, the bench press is an upper body exercise, but it's like you're using so much of your body. It's not like you're not using the rest of your body when you're using machines, but it is more isolated.
Yeah, you guys get that, right?
It's more fixed. You know, it's fixed in like a particular position. You can get on there differently, and you can Charles Glass it and move into some funky different positions on there. But
The bent over rows on the Charles Glass bent over row. You lean up and over it and we just fall forward. So it's almost like a rear delt. You're pulling it up.
don't ever ask Charles Glass for advice; he'll kill you.
Yeah.
It makes everything so
It makes-
difficult.
I love that though, because
It's
his
great.
background was, and I did gymnastics when I first started, and the range of motion you can get as a gymnast, and now you add Charles Glass being at Cal Berkeley on the gymnastics team, and then also having an engineering degree from Cal Berkeley, and mostly at that time it was a great school for engineering, and then add in, you know, a bodybuilder and understanding mechanics and everything. He's like, that's the reason why he's the grandmaster at this. And I think the first guy to do a back tuck on stage.
Mm.
Charles?
Yeah, I think.
He tucked it into the back. So most guys tuck it into the front.
Yeah, I see where you went with that. He tucked it before tucking was cool.
Wow.
Before
Probably a lot to tuck.
what was the movie? Hannibal. What was it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Silence of the Lambs.
What was the song? Buffalo Bill.
Buffalo Bill.
Until Ryan Reynolds did it.
Good blind horses. Starting marks faster than 50 in carnivore in January. Any tips, advice, wisdom?
A carnivore diet, I think, is awesome. It's a good thing for people to try. It's a little journey into some low carbness for people. I would just say while I like people being disciplined, I think one of the big killers of a lot of people's success is trying to be too rigid. So if you're trying a carnivore diet and you eat some vegetables, it's not the end of the world. I think what we're trying to do.
Can you jump back for a sec? Sorry. Can you tell us first what a carnivore diet is?
Carnivore diet is primarily just
Could chicken all day be carnivore?
Yep.
Or is it more
Yeah,
red
chicken,
meat?
fish, red meat. Yep. Yeah, chicken, fish, red meat. Really any types of meat that you can think of. I eat all kinds of stuff. I eat like canned stuff. I eat mussels and clams and
I eat some clams.
oysters and various things like that. Salmon.
I had a clam last night.
Mhm.
Anyways,
So that's on the carnivore diet too.
there you
But
go.
You'll never
Oysters?
gain weight.
you'll never gain weight. She
Oysters.
said.
Never.
Do you find that oysters really do make you?
Like an aphrodisiac.
Yeah, does it make you horny, or is it you fired up after that?
I haven't noticed that impact, but I've heard of that before.
Okay, Jeff, you eat oysters?
Why, Mike?
Just asking, man.
Why did I answer
Maybe
that?
later we can eat some oysters together.
Anyway, yeah, so that makes up the carnivore diet, and I think it's a good thing for people to try. It's like a good reset, gets people used to eating a lot less carbohydrate. But what I was going to say earlier is just that I think sometimes people are too rigid, and my message is, while I would love for you to be disciplined, I'd love for you to learn how to be strict. I also understand for some people they're just kind of getting started on a lot of these journeys. And so what I would love for people to realize going into any of these programs or anything they do that they see from you or from me is understand that you're not just going to do this for a month, that you're going to be doing this forever. That doesn't have to be daunting. That doesn't have to be like, oh shit, I'm out. I didn't know I was going to do it forever. But you're going to go from Mike's program into doing my program. And then when you're done with both of those programs, you're going to go into another program because you need some sort of regimen or some sort of program. You hear people say sometimes with a ketogenic diet, they're like, oh, I tried that. But then when I came off the diet, I gained 20 pounds. And you're like, you were doing the diet using that as a tool to manage your weight loss. You lost weight with that, but then you discontinued that and then fell back into your old habits and then you gained weight. So it doesn't mean the keto diet or whatever diet you're on doesn't mean it didn't work. It worked while you were adhering to it. And my point here is that if you're going to do a diet and you're trying to lose weight, lose the weight with the diet. And then if you're getting bored, choose a different diet. But don't just choose mayhem because you're going to get fat again.
And then tell us about this. You have a January 1st program, right? Is that what they were recommending, suggesting they're doing?
Yeah,
Yeah,
so I had
something.
a Faster in 50 program that I wrote out with Dan Garner. Dan Garner is a strength and conditioning coach, just a performance coach, I guess, in general. And it was some running that I did preparing for the Boston Marathon. So it's a running program. There's some lifting in there and all that kind of stuff.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
You guys head over there, start it up.
It's free on I think it's on markbellslingshot.com. But it could be on withinyoubrand.com. So there I plugged both my sites.
Is the exercise good mornings dumb? Is it useful?
Wow. I think it's a freaking great exercise. I think to me, there's exercises like the supplementation I was talking about. There's exercise I think that should be in the program. Even, I don't care how heavy you go, but I just think I think sumo deadlifts. I think good range of motion on a squat. I think good mornings, regardless of the weight, just the movement itself, I think are incredible to do and keep in. Just, I know what it's like to get old. So, and I know what it's like to want to tussle and stuff and move. And I think those exercises are beneficial. Your take?
I love Good Mornings. The Good Morning built my squat. That's how I built 1,080 squat was with Good Mornings. When I would struggle with the squat, my technique would break down and I would kind of roll forward a little bit in the upper body. And I tried and tried and tried so many different techniques and so many different ways of squatting, messed around with a bunch of different rep schemes and set schemes and all these other things. And I'd still end up doing a good morning with my squats. And so then I was like, maybe I should just train good mornings. Maybe I should just train out of that position that my body tends to want to default to. And I never really got rid of, I never completely got rid of um, the ability to like not good morning some of my squats, but it happened with heavier and heavier weight.
So you bulletproofed your body.
Bulletproofed my body, trained in some ranges of motion um, that allowed me to build density and strength and recruit muscles in ways that really assisted a lot of the other lifts. I would say that a good morning, if we were to pick the good morning exercise, good mornings are lower back, glute, hamstring, predominantly exercise. If we were to pick the good morning of shoulder work, it would be like a behind the neck press, right? Because so somebody might be like, oh, you're going to get hurt doing a behind the neck press. You're going to get hurt doing a good morning. But that's actually what makes those exercises so valuable. The more dangerous the exercise, probably the better in a lot of ways. And in a setting of like a gym, what we have to always remember is that you're training. And what makes training different than a fight is that you can really control a lot of variables when you're training. So if I'm doing a Jefferson curl, which is basically just you're rounding your back as much as humanly possible from every facet of your spine that you can. So you're not just going to round the upper back, you're going to round your lower back. And you take like a kettlebell or a plate or could be a barbell, but you're basically taking it to your shoes. And when you do that, you're intentionally curling over and rounding over. And what did I just say earlier? I said we're trying to train through some of these kind of almost what would be considered like bad positions, but because it's training, we're in control of all the variables. So are we going to do that with 315 out of nowhere? No. We can do it with 315 if we get conditioned to it, if we train to it and train for it and learn how to do it that way. But most likely you're going to start out with reasonable weights to get started on things like that.
I love that.
But the more dangerous, the better. That's what Louis Simmons used to say.
So Arthur Jones said that too. Arthur Jones said squats is the greatest exercise in the world, the most beneficial exercise in the world, and it's the worst because the possibilities of it. And so again, I don't think life works the way that people think it works. You're not safe. You're being as safe as you possibly can and trying to bulletproof your body. And so I love that exercise.
What are your take on cold plunges? What do you like to do for recovery?
I love cold plunge. I have a cold plunge at my house, and I do it a couple times a week when I'm man enough to do it. I really like it. It seems to be a good reboot. I also don't necessarily think it's an awesome thing to maybe do all the time unless someone's maybe doing it more for like mental benefit.
I'll run right with that. Mentally, I think it's awesome. Congrats if you can do it. I got one right here. That's where it's going to stay.
Your pool?
No. They brought one in.
Oh, okay.
They brought one in next to my sauna. I find I do my sauna. Yeah, the pool is the hot tub. I got that thing at 91. I do a sauna a lot.
Sauna feels great.
Yeah, I don't do the cold plunge a lot. It is a different level of uncomfortableness.
Can really knock stuff out though. If you have a tight back or you have an injury or something like that. For me personally, I found that it seems to be a good refresher if the body feels a little. I think they both actually work the same way, ironically, even though they're on the opposite ends
Right.
of each other. I think they both are a way of almost like running your body around, like you're getting your body some exercise because you are increasing your heart rate. There's some runners and some endurance athletes that actually utilize a sauna post run to kind of continue that zone 2 cardio, because if it's hot enough in there, you'll find that it gets to be pretty difficult to breathe. And if you ever wear a heart rate monitor or something like that in a sauna, you'll see your heart rate start
I
to
will
go
try
up
that.
quite a bit.
I mean, I got the whoop, but I never really noticed my heart rate. I will
It
do
might be
that.
at like 100. It might not be like crazy, but it might be like 100, 110.
I try to go for the, yeah. So I'll do it. I'm curious though. So inflammation. I think of inflammation. It's beneficial at times, in my belief. There's times you want inflammation. You want it after the workout because you want your body to recover. And inflammation is just saying your body knows it's traumatized. It's going to come in here and try to fix things. And so there's a part of me that likes the inflammation, where everybody else seems to be like, no, 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 I want to get done with the workout. I want to go home. I want to jump in the cold plunge, get rid of that, and then move on. And it's like, I want the body to get rid of it so I can gauge, am I overtraining? Am I inflammation too long? Am I waking up the next day and I'm still beat? So there's a little bit of that for me. Just so you guys keep going, but like you and me talked about earlier, if you like cold plunges, you like the sauna, you like, I got the red light therapy, which I absolutely love. I freaking love it. You want to talk about it? I got the setup up there, man. I can go up there. I got the whole table, and I love what it does. If everybody else says it's not good and you like it, keep it in there.
I'd also say about the cold plungers, some pretty cool evidence more recently that when you do cold thermogenesis, cold therapy, literally of any kind, but the cold plunge is what people are measuring usually, is that you'll actually produce UV light within your own body, which is kind of a weird, interesting thing, but it's a way that people believe that people with more fair skin have been able to have a strong immune system because the cold, much like the sun, supposedly gives us some benefits of vitamin D. So those are like more recent findings. Those are more new things. They still probably have to study a little bit more, but that's kind of the early beliefs is that you are the from the cold, your body is producing UV light within itself, and from that, you are producing a little bit more vitamin D. So, just extra benefits of it. In terms of like it blunting recovery or something like that, I kind of view a lot of stuff like that as like everything is before and everything is after training since we train all the time. So when people talk about post workout recovery or post workout meals, to me like everything's post workout. Like if you worked out at 8 o'clock in the morning and then you ate and then you didn't eat all the way until 2 p.m., that's still post workout in my opinion. However, it's also still sort of pre workout because you're going to work out the next day as well. So I think the body's complicated and complex, and like I said, I think it works on kind of a delay. Those carbohydrates that you ate at 6 p.m. or something like that, they're not going to all of a sudden just like leave your body. They're not going to run away when you go to train at like 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. or something like that.
I thought I sent something to you, and I'll find this. I know it's here somewhere. And it talked about the cold plunge, and they come out, and remember I sent you that, and it said that the study was done on only 20 people, and it only burnt this many calories, and it was like a complete. They were trying to KO and say that cold plunge didn't do for you, and I'll find that video and I'll try to post it here
I
because
remember the video is it was also posted by Lane Norton, and he talked about it a
I'm
little bit.
curious to see what Lane said. My thought was when they're trying to bash it, at least I have enough common sense to understand that it was a phenomenon and everybody started doing it. And a lot of people started scheduling it, and a lot of people started being disciplined about it. And it started an avalanche of people getting in shape. And so it's funny that they tried to make a claim that it didn't do anything for you. Okay. But then how do you explain that people started being disciplined, doing better habits, getting up and doing it. I get the point that you're saying, well, they tricked you into buying something that you didn't need. It tricked them to take care of better health of themselves. And now what's kind of cool, I think, in my personal choice, is that let's say hypothetically it was a scam and there's no difference. Well, you can say thank you because they just gave you a placebo saying this is going to help you. It doesn't. You got in better shape because you thought you were going to, because this was going to be a trick. And now you just found out, guess what? By you just being disciplined, you're in better shape. So for them trying to cap on it, I saw the complete opposite side, that it was a setup for them going, that's an alley oop. That's a win. Thank you for telling that that wasn't it. It was me being productive.
You and I were talking about supplements earlier. We were talking about like vitamins, and we are like, I think I can kind of feel creatine, and you and I can argue back and forth about which things we feel versus what we don't feel, whether it's EAAs or uh, hydration products during workout. However, the cold is something that you can't deny. Like you get in a cold plunge and you feel that, and then there's an after effect of it as well. How positive or negative that after effect is, I don't really know, but I agree with you. There's a lot of people that feel really good about it, and it seems like from a mental perspective. Again, I know a lot of people who have a lot of mental health issues, and they have a tougher time getting out of bed. They have a tougher time being excited about the day. They have a tougher time exercising. For some of those people, I think it could change their life, possibly forever. So why not give it a try?
I think I think it was such an amazing thing because of the fact that it allowed some people that maybe didn't wrestle or do something really extreme hard when they were younger, do something harder at the stage they're at. And like you just said, mentally prepared them to go into battle a little bit, and it got them more fired up. I think that's a badass thing. I think that's great. And so whoever did it, whoever put it out there, and all your guys' studies saying it doesn't do anything for you, sorry, but it does, because it goes back to being disciplined. Sorry, Jeffrey.
Michael, did you ever do a modified West Side conjugate training style?
I think I probably do a modified of that. I've been training long enough. A lot of Russian uh, training is where I, stem from, and I think he took a lot of that when he was doing his thing, and so yeah,
I think some small differences I would say between the way that you train would be that you typically like to select an exercise for a few weeks. At Westside, they would often switch the exercise every week, which there was a lot of debate about that. That was just like Louis Simmons' way. That's what he wanted. That did more like what you did. They would do good mornings. They might do them for 3 weeks. Then they might do a deficit deadlift. They might do that for 3 weeks. Um, so I think that you already are doing similar to West Side, because you are West Side to me is like trying to attack your strengths and your weaknesses. Like you're trying to every
oh,
once in a
I like
while,
that.
every once in a while you give yourself an underhand pitch and you're like, we're gonna kind of work in this zone of the stuff that I'm good at. And then we're gonna work for a few weeks in some areas that I kind of don't like, but they're gonna be really important to me later on. Because you're always trying to one thing Louis was a master of is he was great at building towards whatever he wanted to do next. And I think that's a huge valuable thing in training is you want to you're not just training for no reason. You're training to bring yourself to a particular point, but you're not training maximally out of nowhere right away. You're training to get yourself to have some sort of maximum performance maybe down the road a little bit.
I love that. So yeah, it's very similar already, because we every workout, mostly at this stage of the game, the last 10, 10, 15 years, is I go into the gym to find out uh, a weak point or a hiccup in my game, and then I attack that game. I attack that spot to try to fix it and strengthen it. So
I found some areas where I'm weak a lot of times after a workout. So like I'll do a workout and I like the last exercise or two to sometimes be like kind of experimental, and I'll go to do it, and I'll go, "Oh my god, that was terrible." But I'll say to myself, "Noted," like I noted that. I need to come back next week and start doing that for the next month.
Similarities.
Best exercises for increasing power in MMA and striking.
Yeah, I think sumo deadlifts. I think power cleans are a couple exercises that should really be in that protocol. And mostly if you're still competing, I like power cleans. It's a tough exercise, and I don't mean power cleans like you do in CrossFit. I mean just a power clean is like clean and jerk is a beautiful, beautiful, artistic, very precise movement. I mean power cleans where it's more like football, where you're coming up and you're hitting it off your hip thrust and smashing that bar up. That way, that hip explosion when you gut wrench a guy. That's what I want. I don't want you dropping all the way down like they do in Olympic lifting or CrossFit.
I would say, trying to build up for a sport and particularly like MMA. I would say it just depends on like where you're weak. Like if you're already somebody that really loves the gym, then maybe your exercises uh, shouldn't be in the gym. If you're already a gym goer, you're already way into lifting, you're already like benching, squatting, deadlifting. However, if you're not doing those things, those would be great things to implement. You have things like throwing med balls. You got some plyometric work. You got things that you can do on like a track or something like that. I think for athletes in general, it's really important that they keep themselves, keep their mobility, keep their explosiveness, and not only keep it but make it even better. As this guy is pointing out, it's kind of the question that he had there. But um, I would think that if someone comes in and they just are in general, they're just not very strong. They can bench 135 pounds, they can deadlift 225, and they can squat 185. I think the gym and some of those exercises would pay huge dividends for that person. On the other hand, the person that's squatting 405, I'm not saying the squat's not going to do anything for them, but their time might be better placed somewhere else most of the time, just because they're already proficient at that particular exercise.
It's a great point. It's a great point. It's not like you're going to be fighting a guy that's 405. So if you're already tossing around 405 for 20 reps, you're good. You know, if you're already cleaning 315, that hip thrust is beautiful. I agree.
How long did it take you to hit 3 plates on the bench?
Oh, I cannot remember a specific age, but man, I would have to say I was probably like I started lifting at 12, and I was probably around 16, something like that. So
I got you by a year.
like maybe
I
like
got
4 years or so.
Yeah, mine was 5 years. I started at 9, and then I hit it at 14, almost turning 15. I did a powerlifting meet, and that's with the pause and making it pretty. I don't think Jeff's got video of how I used to bench when I was that age. It was very football style.
Mm.
Yeah. You got the bench on there? I show that.
Well, it's not loaded.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
in the hard drive.
yeah. He's got me repping 315 for tens. Because when I hit it, then it just became easy. But it took me 5 years, 9 to 14. But I hit 275 in the meet with a pause and everything. Dieted down after the show.
So you did it about a year earlier, but it took me less time.
It did take you less time.
We both won. Look at that. I get like a little tiny trophy.
Were you
Runner
the
up.
strongest in school when you hit that? Were the other guys doing it?
I was the strongest in the history of my school. And when I went back to my school, my old football coach said that in front of my brothers.
Ooh.
Greatest day of my life.
I was not. Wasn't even close. It was at
Monsters.
least 20 of us
Mm.
in that school that was slamming that.
Yeah,
Paul
we didn't-
Mix and his
Mhm.
brother, Paul and Kevin Mix, middle linebackers. They were all, yeah, we had some 405ers at that time in high school. And I was a youngster, obviously.
We only had one other guy on the team that was like really strong. He was really good at squats. And that was about it.
I went to that school.
Mm.
Where state champs 3 years in a row. It was like didn't lose. So it was nice to grow up like that. I guess both, it's like you. It's like you're the strongest guy in the history of it. That's a cool thing. And then to not be the baddest guy in the room is a cool thing.
Mm-hmm.
They both got their benefits. I worked well with not being the bull steward.
Love digging yourself out of that ditch.
Yeah, I liked being that. Like coming down here in 1990, I was stronger than all these guys, but I wasn't as jacked as them.
Mm.
I liked it. I was like, okay, I'll get there.
That's cool.
I'll get there.
Do you remember what you guys weighed? Around that time, 15.
I was 176 in the meet.
I don't remember exact weights all that well. I do know when I was 16, I was like 240. I remember that. I got pretty big.
Do you got the photo?
I got the neck photo.
You got me and mom?
Oh, nice.
That was it right there.
That's not the shot.
That's not no. This is that was the 14-year-old. Let me see that one again. Enerdrol neck. Look at that.
That's great.
Jeez.
Yeah, how much do you weigh on the left there?
On the left, I was 260.
Hmm.
Yeah, it was football.
I have this shot.
That is the bodybuilding show I won 3 weeks before doing the powerlifting meet, and that's
I got this
that
kid
one.
with the mustache.
that's 13 with the little. I put chapstick on the peach fuzz to make it dark.
That's great.
Look at the chest though. That's not bad for 13. Titan's gonna kill that.
Do you have weights in your basement or something?
It was fully loaded.
Nice.
My dad, I called them high boys, but my dad made chain beds
Mm-hmm.
that were up off the ground for all 5 boys. And then the whole downstairs basement was all weights, and that's where the boys slept. And then the walls were oiled up men. Just like Arnold's story. So my dad come down, but he was a bodybuilder football
Mhm.
player. So he knew. We had all the pictures and the magazines ripped
Oiled
up on
up
the wall.
men from wall to wall.
Men. That's how you did it, boys.
Squatting and deadlifting for power building purposes. How often should you go for max effort?
Ooh. I would say 12, 13 weeks.
That's me too. Yeah, I think that it's misunderstood. I think that if I had to assess the powerlifting world or had to look at most powerlifters program, I would say most of them train too heavy, which is kind of a funny thing to say.
Right?
But what I mean by that is like you want to train, you want to be able to execute your exercises really, really well. On a scale of 1 to 10, the intensity of the lift could be pretty hard. It could be like an 8 or a 9. But the execution of the lift is really important. And powerlifting, a lot of times, about having multiple executions of an exercise, having good precision, kind of over and over again. That's why a lot of guys they'll do higher sets, right? We don't really see that in bodybuilding as much. Bodybuilding, the reps are usually higher than the sets, but rather than 3 sets of 10. Powerlifting is flipped the other way a lot of times, where it's going to be 10 sets of 3 reps, and you want to have good repeatable efforts. Once you do that, what I believe what happens is that your body, your brain, your central nervous system kind of puts a stamp on your muscles, and it's like, yo, everyone's on board. We all know how to do this. You gave us really nice inputs. You didn't overtax us, so we're going to come back next week a little stronger.
And it's noticeable. Just so
can
you guys
almost feel
understand, your nervous system and training in a powerlifting type program, a power bodybuilding or Louis Simmons, all this, you so feel it. You come back week after week, and like I said, this is week 3, And the weights I started with week 1 just felt heavy. And week 3 feels like a joke. It's that fast. And when the nervous system kicks in, when everything's right, the recovery's right, the food's right, and everything. So it's an amazing, fun thing.
Hmm.
And you get to a point. So then how do you do this? Because you do get to a point where you start doing stuff. I remember Jeff and me kind of laughed about it. I did a reverse bench with 500 and it was a joke. And it was at the end of the power bodybuilding. And I just go, I need to stop. That was too easy.
Hmm.
Where a lot of people would go, let's go, 550. I went the other way going, I'm way too strong. I don't know where the limit is. That was a joke.
Yeah, you have to stop. If you get a PR, it's that could be the hardest thing. The young guys listening, they're not going to listen to that because it's just too tempting when you make a PR. But I think maybe something to think about is when you're that high up and you just did your best bench previously is 295 and you just out of nowhere smashed 315. That's a monumental moment. It's a monumental day. The odds that you're going to make the next lift are actually pretty low, even though you may have smashed it because your brain, your mind was wrapped around those three plates for so long, and now it's kind of like you're coming back down the other side of the mountain there. But what I would say is like if you are falling into that zone where you're smashing some good weights, what you might want to consider is to just add a little bit of weight, like rather than going to the 550. Use the fives, use the 2.5, take a smaller increment because you might end up with two really good PRs for the day. And if you end up with three really good PRs for the day, that's great too. But I think a lot of times it's that bigger jump that really screws you up. The original question, was about how often to max, and I liked your answer. I think it was like, it's going to be every couple months really that you're going to really test. So I think, again, I think it's a misconception in powerlifting. I think that we see so many big lifts being done. I don't know if you have had an opportunity to see like Jesus Oliveras. This guy squats 1,000 pounds nearly every week, but his capacity is through the roof. He's conditioned for it. He's a very strong lifter. He's thick. He's heavy. His body is used to it, and so he can do these heavy lifts. And I think what maybe people aren't observing or paying attention to is how easy he's doing the lift. So yes, it's heavy.
They see the weight, think that that's his max.
Right.
So there, and we just had a discussion last week, and I just an absolute. Let's just say he's young. Just say he was young. He wrote, "Why do I feel like this kid?" And I said, "You know what? Come on live. Let's have a talk." And which is interesting. It was interesting, and basically he just did that. He goes, I feel that you do these kind of numbers to just flex on us, but that's not really what you're doing. And so we had a talk, and that basically said, you're 25, kid. What you saw me flexing was 150 pounds less than I normally use. And so your comprehension. So like this guy squatting 1,000, everybody goes, oh, look at, he's doing an incredible world PR every single week. No, not for him. He probably do another 100 on that.
Right. Yep.
That's the point of it. The point of it is, nobody's flexing. They're just trying to have fun, getting a workout in. But just keep in mind what their levels are. Nervous system is amazing. Volume, using it is amazing because, I squatted today because I have to do the thing tomorrow, and I'm supposed to squat tomorrow, but we just squatted on Monday. Body's recovering so much quicker with the volume. Suspicious. I agree with that. Very suspicious. So all those things are really cool. And listen to your body. You guys will be able to see it.
What are the best foods pre-game for energy for my high school basketball player? Barely come.
I like these questions.
Yeah. These are not dumb questions. These are great questions, guys.
I think when it comes to a sport like basketball, I can't really think of a better diet than like a bodybuilding diet. Obviously, not a bodybuilding diet like you're getting ready for the stage or anything like that, but just a lot of carbohydrate, a lot of protein, probably like equal amount of carbs to protein, keeping them both at about a gram per pound of body weight at least, and then probably because you're young, you probably still handle even more carbohydrate than that.
This kid's a two-time, I'm guessing, athlete too.
Mm,
Play some football,
nice.
some basketball.
Probably
Would
trying to
you
eat, fairly often throughout the day too.
would you recommend him your package sodium
Oh yeah, the hydration packets.
hydration? Would
Yeah,
you recommend that?
yeah, those would be great. Yeah, staying hydrated is critical. You can get that at withinyoubrand.com. We have hydration that has amino acids and taurine in it, in addition to sodium and magnesium. But really, just being well fed, I think, is going to be
Right.
a huge factor. I think basketball, basketball is pretty strenuous. So I would say, like, I would try not to eat much 2 to 3 hours beforehand, unless it was like a Rice Krispie treat or something that can, like, you can digest really easy.
Yeah.
But you can have fun with eating, when you're that age and
You're doing that much sports and he's active and he's doing it. I just don't
PB&J
pull him
and
back
stuff.
from food.
yeah.
Because I was I was a peanut butter and jam kid. That's where I got a lot of my size, which I'll have to go back to the bench press after this. But yeah, make sure he's eating well because he's still growing like incredible. He's growing better than anybody. He's a high school kid.
A lot of people still don't know about protein, even though it's talked about so much. Um, so steak, eggs, chicken, any types of
What would
animal
you
products.
go pregame though? What was your pregame?
Yeah, pregame. Um,
Would you do a sugar or not a sugar? Would you do would you do honey or something like that?
Yeah.
Or would you keep it more?
yeah, pregame you got to go like drier, like carby, like, uh, and probably not a whole lot of protein right before the activity.
Does that make sense? Let us know that you got that. All right. Great question though. Back to when you first did 315. What was your jump from 315 to 405? How long?
So I was about 16 or so with the 3 plates, and then I think I was about 18. I was like just graduating high school when I did 405.
All right. So then I cut. See, first one took me longer. Second one took me less. All right. Okay.
Is there the weight change? in those two?
There wasn't.
Oh, good point.
Yeah,
Good point.
For me, there wasn't a huge body weight change because I was
See again, more impressive then.
I was pretty heavy at like 16. My brother was like, "Hey, you should gain weight for football. Get bigger," and I did. And then he came back from college and he was like, "Oh my god, you got fat." And I was like, "Huh?" I was like, "Oh yeah, I guess I kind of did." And so then I lost some weight from there, and I probably weighed 220 or something like that.
Do you have some of those pictures of me and Jeff Magruder in the gym? Already done. So, like I said, I hit 315 when I was.
Nice.
I hit it. But he made a great point. I gained 100 pounds.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I went from 176 after the bodybuilding show, and by 15, I was 272.
Damn.
Suspicious. And so then I hit 405.
That's cool.
And the bench went up exactly in the meet 100 pounds.
Oh my god.
Because it stayed, I hit 375 in the competition and then 405 in the gym.
Mm.
That's the picture you saw there. That was a 16-year-old lad,
Mm.
gassed out of his mind.
My delts hurt. Will a Thai massage help that?
Thai massage helps everything, my friend. Helps everything.
Massage therapy, though, it is good. It works really well.
Yeah,
I
Jimmy?
suggest it.
Have you had Jimmy Bluff?
Yes. Phenomenal.
Do you find that he is over here by himself in a world that he has created with his technique compared to everybody else? Or
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good practitioners if you take your time to find the right people. But yeah, Jimmy Bluff, his technique and what he does is unique. I haven't really had anybody work on me that does stuff quite the way he does.
I like massage, but I like massage from Jimmy. He's for me, and I've worked with
Hmm.
dozens and dozens over the last decades. Um, Jimmy just something different.
He's crazy too because he'll just work on you until you're done. Like he's not there's not a session. He'll just keep working on
That's
you.
the
I mean,
truth.
he came up and worked on me one time for like 6 hours.
That's the wildest thing
It
about
was
him.
nuts. I
You-
was like dead, and I was like, "How are you?" Because you're the one doing all the work. I'm
Five
behind.
changes of shirts. So
Yeah.
so you guys at home, man, just go find Jimmy Bluff, set your appointment. So James Harrison, football player,
Mhm.
saw that I was doing this, and he's out. I think he lives. I'm not sure where he
Arizona.
lives. Okay, and he messaged me once, and I said, "Yeah, go see." And then boom, he booked his whole year with Jimmy, paid him all up. He's like, and there's nobody in the history of humanity that I know that spends more and focuses more on recovery than James. And they talked about that. He said he spent $1 million a year on recovery. Now, again, that's not a lot because it set him up each year to get 10 million from still playing. So again, it's 10% of what he was doing. So he could get that extra.
It just popped in my head that SNL skit they did on him when he had that interception in the Super Bowl and he returned it 100 yards. They had one of the guys like imitating him, and he was just like sucking on this oxygen mask forever. Because James Harrison, yeah, he went like 108 yards or something on a return and
Right
just
before
could
the
not,
halftime.
yeah, could not ever catch his breath back again.
Oh, great guy. Savage.
Such an awesome play.
Was that when who's no, that was Raiders and Patriots. So it was
It's Cardinals
Pitt
and
against
Steelers.
Cardinals.
Yeah.
Was it? It was
Mhm.
Kurt, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. James, you savage. And shout out to Jimmy Bluff. He doesn't stop. And I've had a couple. I get massages between
There's that
Jimmy,
like little thing where
Yeah.
you
but I get these
separate your
massages,
muscles out or whatever.
and the person that massages me is like, okay, we better switch sides or we're not going to be done in time. And just like their clock is their thing, where Jimmy is. And I think that's a cool thing. When you love your craft, Jimmy makes sure that you're done when it's done, not the time. Like you heard him say that he was up there for 6 hours. So
I was towards the end of my powerlifting career trying to hit some new numbers and stuff like that. And my same friend I was telling you about earlier, my friend James Smith, he was setting me up with some of these workouts because I injured my pec. And I started doing the workouts, and then the workouts they went from rehab to doing like prehab work and then stretches and all these other movements and hooking myself up to a complex machine and doing all this other type of training. And by the time I got into like almost like a training block, the workouts took an insane amount of time. So I called him up and I said, I was like, hey, these workouts are starting to take like a really, I don't mind that they take a long time, but they're taking a long time. And he goes, well, for what you're doing, he's like, it just takes as long as it takes. It takes as long as necessary. He's like, you want to be good or you want to be great? It just takes as long as necessary. He's like, this is regardless of, he's like, you understand that, right? Like, you understand this is regardless of time.
that's a beautiful statement.
And I was like, yeah, you're right. You're 100%. Like, no more dumb questions. No more dumb
See, we
questions
do
for
it
me.
too. We ask the dumb question, but that's a great.
Well, I just didn't
statement.
know if I was like doing it wrong or something too. I'm like,
How dumb did you feel when he said that?
I'm like, yeah, of course. I have a lot of workouts that do take time, and I don't mind taking my time. You and I work out in the gym. We're in there for quite some time, but I was like, is this really supposed to take me like 4 hours? Doesn't really seem right, but if that's what it takes, I guess that's what it takes.
I love that he said that, but I think that has to do with everything that's successful. Just yeah, it's going to take us what it takes. You want to be huge? You want to be successful? You want to win? Why are you blocking people, Jeff?
My finger slipped.
No.
Oops.
Sorry. Jeff seems to be a little moody today, so
Is
careful
it
on the
Jeff
language.
that blocks everybody?
Yes, Jeff. It's not me. Did you see that?
Shout outs, guys. Hit my Venmo up if you want to get off the unblocked list.
It is a 2K to get back in, guys. So I'd just be smart on it.
What do you fellas do mentally to smash your workout? Any tips, tricks learned over the years?
I'd like to know what you say before, like Boston Marathon, or are you prepped
Hmm.
and trained so well, you're not saying nothing. You're ready to go.
Yeah, usually everything happens beforehand. Everything happens in the training. When I was younger, things were a little different. I was full of more piss and vinegar, I guess you'd say. And I'd be like fired up, and I might need to listen to certain songs or whatever to be like motivated or excited to go and do the lift or whatever it was I was doing. But as I've gotten to be older, it's like, well, the motivation, everything comes from the training itself. So the training is done, and now here's my opportunity to express what my body's now capable of. And I was always so excited by that because it was like they don't understand what they're going to see here today, even though I know that no one really cares.
But to you,
I know that like I
it's the
really
voice.
care. Like I remember when I squatted 1,003, when I squatted 1,000 pounds the first time, uh, right as I got to the bottom of the squat, got to my lowest point in that squat, I felt so strong. I felt stronger as I was descending down into the squat, all the way to the point. As soon as I came back up, about midway through, I started to like smile, and it felt like a smile on the inside. When I was at the bottom of that squat, it just felt so good. So because I understand that preparation is so critical, and I felt what it feels like to have the preparation done correctly, and I've had it work out to where I've done it on the platform. I've also had it not work out. And so I know what that feels like as well. I know what second place feels like. I know what missing the lift feels like. I know what getting hurt on the platform feels like. And those feelings are feelings that I'm like, I know how to feel those very easily. I could just not do my work and I'm going to feel that way. But if I want to feel
But you could
amazing,
also do the work and still feel that way.
that sometimes happens as well. But if I do everything right and things line up correctly on that day, it'll be the best feeling of my life. So that's kind of the way I always looked at it. And that's what kept me like fired up and motivated.
You said something that made me smile because if you see the signature on that one post,
Mm-hmm.
when I did that and I was on stage, I
Was
was
that when you fell off the stage?
it was my signature move. I was smiling. That's a legit smile. And that's
That's
during
sick.
prejudging. I was next to these guys and I was like, this
That's
is
a great
over.
picture.
You guys are done. And I was smiling inside that I didn't realize it was that much on the face. I've never been that happy in my life. But it's cool that you got to that point where you're in the squat and you're in the position of where you should be feeling crushed and you were like, I so got this. That's a cool feeling. You picking up Titan? Where'd you go? Wow. Nice. Mama took her first nap ever. um, I agree with everything you just said too. It's when you're young, you music or you got something or you're tussling with somebody. As you get older, it's you know that you're going 70%. You're being smart about it and just consistent, and you don't need as much hype to go in.
Yeah, when I was younger, it was helpful to have like external things. It was helpful to have things that happen to me, life experiences, to motivate me and to fire me up. I was the dumb kid. I didn't do well in school. That was always like something that was hard for me. Got made fun of and teased for it, type thing. And then I was in classes with a lot of other kids that got made fun of and teased for it. And I always wanted to be able to like defend those kids. So some of the lifting kind of came from that. It wasn't even just like I wasn't me getting picked on because I was big already. It was like me being able to sort of like defend some of my friends. Not that people were like beating anybody up all the time or anything, but um, it just wasn't a good feeling, you know,
Special
being
ed
called
class
dumb
did you
and
go to that didn't get beat up?
yeah, yeah,
Jeez Louise.
yeah. And you're right. Well, they did get beat up, but I mean, it
Yeah.
doesn't mean like it didn't happen like, you know, a lot. It's just like it was in my head that I wanted to be able to protect, you know, some of these people that were around me. And then the other thing too was things that happened with my oldest brother. You know, he was addicted to drugs. You know, died of a drug overdose, and um, just a lot of that. Just like a lot of the stuff that he went through um, when I was a kid, I saw a lot of it. It's a lot of stuff to take on, and even that was like a motivating factor. But those things they're all like when I look back on it, um, was never really used negatively. It was used positively. I was like, um, it just elicited a certain response and certain emotion from me that I couldn't really tap into otherwise. I didn't have like a switch to like just go kill it. I wasn't didn't have because I didn't grow up in like a tough neighborhood. I had parents that loved me. Um, so it's almost like I needed those other two things to sort of be there to turn me into what I turned into.
Person became. I think one cool thing we know is what you just kind of said is that Herberman put this well. It wasn't his; he got it from somebody, but it's just a very simple statement. There are winners and losers, and a winner is someone that is willing to take the pain that is put upon him, or what he's gone through, or what life has given him, and use that to motivate him. And a loser is somebody that same thing, he's got the pain of life and situations and everything, um, and they allow that to destroy them, and they feed off that and give negativity out. And so we grew up, like you said, in the special eds and learning to read and write, and we use that stuff just to motivate the heck out of us. So I would just go to use all the whatever pain, the one thing that's real, they say,
Mm-hmm.
and use it for good within yourself.
Should I rest longer to get another full set, or should I rest shorter period of time to get a bigger pump, but only a partial set?
Did you just write that question
Yeah,
in
I
yourself
know.
there, Mike?
You guys are not asking dumb questions today. I thought it was gonna be dumb question day. It is a great question, and we go for it.
Take the rest. You know, take the rest. Look lazy. I actually think that even almost feeling a little lazy and sometimes feeling as if like, wow, it's been a little while since my last set. I actually think that some of those things are good. Obviously, don't get cold would be my only suggestion, but I don't have any problem with someone taking 4, 6, maybe all the way up to 8 minutes in between a set. Usually, the stronger and bigger the athlete is, sometimes the longer the rest period. But in a powerlifting meet, it might be like 10 or 12 minutes before you do your next,
Long.
right? Because the flight
Just
could be
gonna say,
long, right? The flight could be
everybody
really long.
gets everybody gets a chance on that opener.
14 lifters in this flight, and then yeah, you're not getting another lift in for another 16 minutes or
And
something.
they got the change of weights plus a full minute
Wrapping the
before
knees.
theirs. So you're talking, if there's 14 lifters, you're already waiting 20 25 minutes for your next lift. So we're not saying take that long, but what we're saying is today I did a set, and then he came in the back door, if you know what I mean. No, he came in through the back door. Don't take that the wrong way.
Wait, don't
but
take
go ahead
what?
and clip that, put that up, use it as a meme.
Came to the back door, but don't take it the wrong way.
I took 15 minutes between my next set.
Suspicious.
Very suspicious. Everything in this house, very suspicious. Yeah, I take as long. Just remember, breaking down the fiber of the muscle, getting in there and really getting some stress to it, in my belief, is much better than a pump. Because think about a pump.
I don't know what made it. I don't know what made this hit me right now, but I'm thinking about that post workout shake you made me today. That like that Metamucil or whatever. Yeah. He made me like this fiber shake, and it turned into cement, and it was like a pudding. What the hell was that? Again?
60 grams of fiber.
It was definitely the most disgusting drink I've ever had.
Just know if you ever invite him over, he'll drink whatever. So just give him whatever. I put
That was weird.
niacin in it. I put
Psyllium husk. That's what it was, right?
take as long as you want. A pump. You guys want a pump? Take some creatine and eat a pizza, and then go superset your arms. You'll be so swole up, it's crazy. Doesn't mean you had the best workout.
What's the value of a pump for you, if there is one?
Fun. It's fun. It's fun to be pumped up. It's fun to do that many reps and beat the other guy, maybe, or something. But
You're
that's about it. I can get a deeper pump. I like the pump that's within, like the meat of the hamstrings when you're squatting, and you're like, holy sheesh, my whole leg is gonna feel this tonight. I already know tomorrow I'm gonna be sore because I'm already feeling it. That to me is more than I'm just filled out and pumped, and it looks cool.
one thing that's great training with Mike is sometimes he'll do like 6 or 8 sets of, let's say, like 45-degree back raise sometimes before a back workout, or it could even be the start of a leg workout. And then you're doing your squats and you're doing your other movements, and you're like midway through, you're like, my hamstrings was absolutely killing me. And so while we're doing it, because we do take our time, sometimes there's 4 people, sometimes there's 6 people, sometimes we're also just talking in between sets and literally just taking our time. The workout could take a significant amount of time, and you're not really ever getting like a crazy pump, even when we've done hack squats and some of these other movements that you see a lot of other people really going after the pump with. Even if we're doing cable crossover, it could be anything. We're not really in like pump mode. We're trying to work the muscles, but I think your size and your physique has mainly been built off of the back of you utilizing challenging weights in challenging exercises from many different angles. Not so much, not that it doesn't happen, but not so much about like this particular way that you hear people talk about a pump. Because I mean, if it was just
can
about the
agree with
pump, I mean, we could go in the gym, we could do the pec deck, till we're blue in the face,
10 sets of 20. Go.
and we can get this crazy pump. Then we can do some dumbbells, and then we can walk out. And I'm sure that would elicit some sort of response, and we'd maybe look decent doing some of that. But I don't know if you get that same density.
Yeah, you wouldn't.
You wouldn't get the strength.
You wouldn't get the nervous system involved. You wouldn't get the you get the fascia, but yeah, it's just so much more to it, guys.
Kind of fake muscle.
It's you guys
That
ever notice
bloaty,
that?
puffy, fake muscle thing where you're
You ever
like,
notice?
that guy's not dangerous.
Yeah. A power lifter, after his years of powerlifting, is still a pretty thick human.
Mm-hmm.
And a bodybuilder, they seem to just fade away to a bag of bones. I hate that. But move some weight, stress the body. That way you retain it. Retain as much as you possibly can as you age.
Like you said, Mike, you like that feeling of the pressure.
I do.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't get that pressure, that stress from.
Oh, I did some bench yesterday. I did. I think I did. It was like 3 plates and some chains, and I was doing a few reps with it.
Chains, I love that.
And that pressure and that second rep was a little. I didn't have a spotter. The second rep was a little, and I was like, I can go for a third. I still went for the third, but I could feel it. I could feel that I had those reps in me. And when I got done, when I put the weight back, I was like, that's exactly what I needed. That's the exact right amount of pressure. It's hard to like put into words, but I could feel, the blood pressure. I could feel the pressure of my body, the pressure on my bones. And then I was also doing some box squats back and forth between the two.
Nice.
And it's been a while since I did box squats, but the box squats I got the same feeling from, and I was only using I think that was like 175 or something. I had chains on that too, but 175 pounds of bar weight. So the point here is that it doesn't really matter so much about the actual weight on the bar as much as it does the feel and the pressure that you're accumulating when you're doing your exercises.
A lot of people say your body doesn't know the difference between if you're squatting 600 or you're squatting 300. You ever heard that?
I just think that that's a huge mistake. I actually think that it goes well beyond that too. I think that some people will say, "Oh, it's relative." Like, "Oh, if this guy can handle 700 and that guy can handle 400, well, 400 is that guy's max, and so is 700 is that guy's max." It's like, no, 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 that's not that's not how it works. The human body is not really all that well equipped to hold on to 700 pounds. It's a lot of weight. So the adaptation that's going to happen from someone lifting 700 is going to be exponentially greater than somebody lifting 400 and somebody lifting 800, somebody lifting 1,000. You ever see the traps on somebody that's, just, squatted 800? Remember Stan's? Like, Stan looked like he was walking around with like a refrigerator underneath his shirt when he was at the Olympia. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
When he was smashing some of those. I mean, Stan 865 squat,
Yeah.
over 600-pound bench, and mid 800-pound deadlift in a powerlifting meet. Broke the all-time world record for 275 and 308. Stan Ryan on efforting legend. But the density, I remember he got done with a set and I hit him like, I was like, oh, good. I was like, what in the hell
Right.
was that? I thought I hit the monolift. I hit him. Like, Jesus. So yeah, you're going to build a tremendous amount of density with being able to lift like that.
Robbie's like that.
Still,
Robbie,
what the hell?
Robbie's like that. They don't know. They don't know.
How old
Robbie is 80, almost 80 now.
No.
About 80. So you hit him and you're like, it's ridiculously dense. It's ridiculous.
And you
It's-
can't really get him to conversate much. Right?
We get him going.
You gotta unlock it.
We gotta unlock. You gotta make
Can
sure.
you interview him?
Yeah.
You should.
Yeah. We have.
Yeah.
You should.
I would love to.
He will hook it up.
That would be great.
You're just gonna have to fly him up there.
I'll do it. Yeah,
You gotta fly him up there.
I'll even come down here to do stuff with him. Yeah, because like, I mean, how many other people are
See,
70,
Now
80?
you get this.
How many?
Me going down for a couple times to sit down with Frank Zane and have
Mhm.
these talks.
Yeah.
To be able to talk to Arnold, to be able to talk to Rob. Those are three.
Mhm.
Those are the three that are still here.
Yeah.
It's like, holy sheesh. Yes, I've been able to talk to Bill Grant and Steve Davis and some other Mr. Universes of that era. But those three, and
Mhm.
mostly the banter that they have, and mostly the idea of how the outside world, Frank Zane is the professor, the very bright, so he must be very calm and cool, and he's got a fight in him.
Mm.
He's got a fight in him, and then it's just so cool to be around. Robbie's the same way. You get him to talk, dude. Just
Did I see Frank Zane post something about being canceled or something the other day?
yes,
Oh no.
his live was going to be
Instagram
canceled.
live.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, I saw like
Yeah.
yeah,
But like the way he posted it.
yeah. He's like yeah, it just said like canceled. I was like,
I
It
said
looked like a Generation Iron article saying
they canceled it. Nah, never. He was doing something like pullovers, and he was teaching me how to do pullovers, and I said, well, a lot of people are going to say this is going to hurt your shoulders, and he goes, just strong, like a John Wayne response. They will. I won't. I'm like, I come from the professor.
That's great.
It's cool. It's cool. Those guys they're a different breed. They're a different breed.
look it up, Robbie.
Yeah. Let him hit Robbie up.
yeah, that'd be
Make
great.
that happen. You might have to go with him.
Dude, Robbie, we were hitting deadlifts. And Robbie just jumped in raw, went for 315. What?
That's great.
Gil jumped in the other day. Gilbert's 70 now. Remember Gilbert, my
Yeah.
old training partner? So we're over there, and Gilbert's
Did he go sumo?
he
He was always
those
big
looks.
on the sumo.
Yeah, but like I was explaining to these guys back in me and Ron Fedco days, Yeah, he's right up on the side there. He would good morning. His squat and dead look the exact same. They're both good mornings. He would never hit depth and he'd never lean over. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's just like, I'm 255 pounds. I pick up things.
Yeah.
And he'd always pass out on the deadlifts with his breath. It was great. It was great. But we were doing our deficits, and he walks over there. He jumps down, grab 335, 335, just
That's
at
great.
70.
That's
But again, how does a 70-year-old walk over without warming up and hit 335 on a sumo deadlift in a deficit when he's 70 years old? Because of what he did back here
Yeah.
in his 20s and 30s and 40s with us. Well, not his 20s, because yeah, it's a cool thing.
that's wild.
I guess that's the one thing you can say about all these guys. The cool thing about it is the work they did when they were younger built a foundation of a house that's still there,
Mm.
and that's still why Robbie walks through the gym like a stallion. Why they still move and groove. Where so many people in their 20s and 30s go, I can't do that. It's gonna hurt me. And they blew that opportunity, even though you can always weightlift.
Mm.
But man, those young years set you up differently.
Yeah, I think what else are you doing with yourself? Like when you're that age, it's like I guess you're going to school. Maybe you're trying to start like a career.
It's
But
easy for you. You're rich.
yeah, that's right.
You don't need a 9 to 5.
I don't. I am rich. It's awesome. You should try it.
Somebody said that to
So
us.
I tell.
Hell yeah.
You're probably like me. Somebody goes, could you do this with a 9 to 5 job? And I go, 40 hours a week? Probably not. I'd probably get lazy. Because we work 8 hours a week. We work for ourselves. We work
Mhm.
7 days a week.
Yeah.
That's a misconception.
Yeah. It is a misconception. I think there's a lot of misconceptions to kind of unwind. I think that fitness and exercise chose us. We do have some genetics on our side. We have environment on our side. My brothers both loved lifting. It sounds like your family loved lifting. You had some encouragement, right? So like we're very fortunate. And however, that doesn't mean just because we're fortunate or just because we're in certain places, it doesn't mean we don't have good advice to offer. Just because this is what we do all the time, and we don't have the interruption of potentially like a 9 to 5 job, or we don't have maybe as many distractions or whatever you want to call them, responsibilities, obligations. Just use all those words, go for it. But it's still not it's still not up for debate that we have information that could be helpful to you. You predominantly switching your diet and getting your percentage of protein up will help you lose body fat and build more muscle mass. You going to the gym 3 times a week and you lifting heavy, these are all things that are they will work for you. So it doesn't matter whether we're successful or not successful, or whether we're just meathead bodybuilders and all we do is focus on that. The information that we have is still has value, and I think that that's kind of the annoying part sometimes. Is sometimes people miss that because they don't like the avatar, they don't like you, they don't like what you said or how you said it.
Yeah. I think they should really listen to you, because you hit the pinnacle of powerlifting, came out the other side, and I've tried so many styles of like I said, we try every diet.
Mm-hmm.
We try every thing. You try different training methods. You've tried all this stuff, and you're out here going from a champion powerlifter to running a marathon.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty freaking extreme. What did you learn in that phase? That's a tremendous amount of knowledge that you picked up. I can go from here to over here, and I just think that's beneficial for anybody.
Main thing I learned is that a marathon's too far.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of miles.
I'm only running if Mona's chasing me. I just think it's a good thing for them. It's you guys ask your questions. Ask your questions. That's all I'm saying.
53, and I'm noticing that my legs are getting thinner.
What?
What are the best exercises to help maintain my leg size?
I'd make sure that there's no back pain, no nerve damage, nothing going on there, no lower back stuff, no impingements. Um, I'd make sure that you continue to get good range of motion with your legs. Um, like we were talking about earlier, like a belt squat, leg press, walking lunges. I think walking lunges is such a missed exercise. I could go into the gym and just do squats and walking lunges, and me and Tito done. We're out. So I just make sure that those are in there. Make sure the nutrition's on point too. Make sure that you got the protein like we just talked about. Um, Play with your carbohydrates on where you're at.
I agree with all those. I think those are great. I think also like, what do you like to do? You know, is there anything that you like to do? Is there any like particular exercises that you like to do? Are there other exercises that you're avoiding maybe because your knee or your back hurts? And that's where something like the belt squat comes in really handy. You can be about as injured as you can think of someone being injured, and you could still always pull a sled. You could still, I mean, almost always, maybe coming out of surgery, you wouldn't be able to do like a belt squat or something. But for the most part, those are going to be exercises you're going to be able to handle very easily. So you want to think about convenience and stuff as well. Like what do you have access to? Um, and if you don't have good access to a lot of variations for leg work, then you should probably try to find another gym because this the fitness landscape has changed so much over the last several years. It used to be so rare to see like a reverse hyper, a glute ham raise,
Yeah.
belt squat, and some of these just really awesome pieces of equipment. They're now everywhere. Rogue Fitness, Sornex, EliteFTS.com, like all these Chris Duffin made a lot of great products, and there's just like a lot of gyms that have a lot of access to a lot of different things, and you might even want to take a page out of some of the bodybuilders' books. They sometimes will have multiple memberships at various gyms because they have different pieces of equipment. So all that and get those legs to be more jacked.
If you don't have any injuries, um, don't run away from the hard exercises, and don't become the leg extension, leg curl guy.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be the 40-year-old who comes, oh yeah, I do legs. What do you do? Leg extension, leg curls, and I'm done. It's like, don't be that. Still keep a couple
I
exercises
do
in
leg
there.
extensions, leg curls. I haven't been hurt in years. It's like, well, yeah, of course.
Yeah. Somebody said that the other day. I ain't gonna say names. He goes, my body feels great, my joints and everything. Yeah, you're not using it. I trained around you. It's like you're not doing anything. Stop it. um, yeah, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, you did it. You did a 7.5 pound lateral raise
Yeah,
last time I trained with you. Like,
it's like,
it was. Of course, you didn't hurt yourself.
yeah. I have those guys around me. Oh yeah, everything's yeah. You do absolutely nothing. Stop. Put your body in a stressful position. It feels great to roll.
Mm,
It feels
nice.
great to most of the guys I'm rolling with. It's great. Yeah, sounds wild, but it's good to be back wrestling and moving around with these guys that are bigger than me, and really just that fast twitch, grab, go, pull, you know, and the aggression,
Explosiveness, huh?
Yeah, it's nice to see it's still there. That explosion, the whips, and them going, God dang it! I was trying to stop you, and so
Like, whoops.
sheesh, Daddy can still move.
Better to lift in the morning or the evening?
Ooh. Well, besides, take out all factors.
Mm.
Take out your job, take out your family, take out work, take out everything you possibly can. And then what would it be? Because morning or night doesn't matter. If those factors set you up that you have to train at night, then train at night.
Mm-hmm.
What would you go with though? Taking out all factors of life.
I love working out in the morning. I also think that there's something really powerful and cool about waking up before the sun comes up. Did it shut down?
We went to the she's dead.
Oh, killed it.
And that's it for it.
Gotta hit the button.
Bathroom.
Bathroom break. You had a blowout.
Your browser lost. Where is it? Yeah.
Hey, what's up, buddy? How you doing?
What?
What do you call it? Mr. Banana Head. I like it. Oh, is it raining?
Yeah, that's what
Did you
it is.
have a good day at school? Oh, cool.
We'll be right back.
Hi, guys. We had to take a moment to break. Let's do a couple more questions
You're
and
not
then.
allowed to have any other drinks. You have a drink schedule.
Well, I got my aminos and all that first, and then I move on to other stuff.
I have a protein shake you can try later.
Woohoo! I'll do that.
Huh?
Yeah.
Is there a new one?
Yeah, it's a total carnivore one. Yeah, I think you'll like it. I sent some to you before, I think.
I got the steak. What do you got, buddy? Come here, Titan.
So this is where the camera went off. Right here, morning, evening.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Take it all away. You don't have the 9 to 5. You're still rich. When would you hit it?
Still rich. You said morning?
Yeah, I think there's something awesome about training in the morning. I also think that there's something cool about getting up before the sun does. I always like that morning time. I don't do it all the time. I don't do it every day. Even when I am training at like 4 and 5 a.m. I don't do it like every day. I'll maybe do it 2 or 3 days a week, just because I think there's something like magical about it.
Did you have a paper route when you were a kid?
I didn't.
Something was inbred in me. I just loved the early mornings. I loved getting up and doing that.
I used to lift a lot of times before school.
All right. Well, you did that. And that's something kids don't do.
Yep.
I love mornings. I think it just fires you up. And it also takes care of a couple things. It takes care of you taking care of you. And then you can take care of it. It goes back to the airplane. Put your mask on before you put your kid's mask on. Take care of you. Get your body fired up. It helps your mind as well. And then rock and roll on the day.
I agree.
I'd be too.
But sometimes when I used to train in the evening, I'd be too amped up to go to bed.
Yeah.
I would train, even if I trained at like 4 or 5, I would still be. It'd be 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. And I'd just be like fired up. My nervous system got all geeked out.
Do you train at night?
Have I? Yeah, I used to train at like 10 p.m.
Wow.
I think if you're a single guy,
Yeah.
then go train at nights at a fancy club. Bobo. Yeah, I like mornings. There's so much, I think, data too, just how the brain functions, the endorphins and everything.
I think for people with a family, I think it's important to have your workout schedule not impede upon family time. I think it can be important. So that's another factor. Doesn't mean you have to work out in the morning, but more than likely that's probably when you're going to be able to get it.
We've kind of switched from my 4 or 5 in the morning to drop Titan off and get there by 8:30.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
8:30 is good.
Yeah, right?
That's good early.
Yeah. 7, 8:30.
4 a.m. though.
Yeah, those
Four means
I had to.
3.
Yeah. And it
No, I
means
know.
the night before is over by 6. You're in bed by 7, asleep by 8,
Or
up at 3. Or
That
or if you-
cascade of disciplines though is beautiful.
Yeah.
It's a
I'm
beautiful.
glad I did do it
It's a beautiful thing.
because I never missed it through all the decades. And
It's
now I
great.
set myself up in a way that I could do it anytime, but I still choose morning.
4 a.m. Los Angeles is a completely different city.
Oh.
The drive from here to Gold's at 4 a.m. is nothing.
Yeah.
Try to drive there right now. It's too far away.
Just coming, we trained, we're 2-a-days now. So we came back at like 2 o'clock or 1 o'clock or something. And Lincoln just coming home to here,
Oh.
which I'm not far from Gold's. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. It's 8 minutes and it's 7-minute drive. And
Yeah.
it takes me 40 minutes to get home around that time.
It's crazy.
I'm excited for you to sit down with Robbie.
What are some things you'd want to?
Yeah. What would you ask?
What knowledge do you want?
Oh, I mean, all the big stuff. Like there's so many people in our space right now talking about longevity, but they're not that old.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that are like they're like 30. You're like,
A life coach with no life experience.
yeah. Like I don't ever even. First of all, I don't ever even really mention longevity because I don't feel old, so I don't feel like I'm in that position. But
You're mid 40s.
yeah, I just turned 48, so whatever that means. But like
Yeah.
I don't really.
I,
I'd rather
they
listen to
told me
people that
it
are
means
like
48. You can't
It
say
means-
almost 50. You cannot.
Can't do
You
it.
cannot do that.
Can't do it. I'm-
I put up something that said,
I'm
I'm
40.
almost 60. And they go, you're not. It's like, wow, okay. In what
That's
world am I
right.
not? It's just like, you're over 40. You're old. It
They're
doesn't
too,
matter.
they're too mad at you.
Yes, relax. Yeah, he's 21. Steve and Jeff is 7.
Just turned 7.
About to be 8.
Come here, buddy. Banana head.
He said nope.
Go for another one, Jeff.
Here's the dog. I'm only gonna take this one today.
Thank you for the dog fund
Yeah,
donation.
Like, listen to me. No bullshit. That's always a good way to.
That's gonna get me to listen.
What's the best way to stop our balls from smelling like crazy after a crazy lifting session?
Ooh,
Stopping my leg
Well,
gains.
yeah.
Some
First
extra
off-
medicated Gold Bond powder. That's a party.
Yeah.
Throw some of that there. Woo.
I'm not familiar with smelling my own balls though, so I would say you got some serious bathing problems, and kind of interesting. You just shove your hand there and just sniff it? Is that what you, or is you just pull your pants off and you already smell your balls?
Why is it stopping the leg gains? though?
Yeah, why is that?
Because he can't leg press.
His balls are too close to his nose.
Yeah. I think
And
it's like the pressure, coming back on. I don't know.
Your balls, man. We used to do ammonia before we would squat. I did ammonia, take a slap across the face. Think of that.
Oh, yeah.
Your ball sack smell is the slap in ammonia.
Why not double up on underwear too?
Mm.
Because maybe
We're-
he's trying to free ball it out
Wear
there.
some old skin hot skins like spandex and
free
stuff.
ball. I love the free ball.
Commando.
It's gonna smell worse later on, but yeah, double it up.
Dude, I'm sorry about that. And give your boyfriend our condolences.
Hey guys, I'm a trainer with a wider range of clientele. I love what I do, and I'm proud to lead the people around me. What are the most important leadership qualities a man needs to possess?
Mm.
Ooh, great. Wow.
That's
Somebody
good
just
one.
hit a nice home run with that one.
He's talking about personal training. Is that right?
Yeah, but
Oh,
he's
that-
talking about a circle of people around him.
I mean, number one is to be in shape. I think that's a big one. If you're in fitness and you're trying to be a leader, it helps to either be in
Oh,
tremendous
I took
shape
this the wrong way.
or to,
I'm sorry. You're right. So what
which
he's
way do you
asking
take it?
is-
In the back door again?
Yeah, in the back door. Like I love it. But so he's saying what he needs to have for the leadership, not the circle around him.
Right.
Okay. Could be both. Go with this one. Let's do both. Let's stay with what you were doing.
Yeah, I would just say, in order to lead, you need some sort of reason for people to want to follow you, and I found it useful to become a material expert at something. So, if personal training is your thing, and you're
I think that's a great question. I think for both aspects, and I agree with you. So you are a believer in that the trainer can't be a fat guy being a trainer. Okay, I like that. Wouldn't if he had his time? Wouldn't if he had his time and
Yeah.
and now he's not?
well, yeah, that he could be a material expert. He could be someone that just has a lot of knowledge. I mean, it's always better when the guy is like living proof of it.
What is it? Heat? Yeah. So we'll finish up.
It got too hot.
So explain that again too.
I I think it's important that you that the person's in shape. I think that's an easier way to lead, especially if you're talking about being like a personal trainer. And then on top of that, um, the person could potentially be out of shape because maybe their time is kind of came and went or whatever reasons. But I do think it's helpful that the personal trainer is in shape, or at least in shape for them. Like there's some people that,
Healthy looking.
yeah, there's some people that have
Doesn't need to be jacked.
yeah, it doesn't need to be super jacked, but it's like either athletic or whatever. But then on top of that, like even more important than the physique and the actual look, if that's not your thing, because for some people that could be the main driver, is that you just look so awesome that everybody wants to follow you. That's a possibility, but being a material expert is really critical.
So, so a material expert is someone that knows it but may not visually be it.
They know it really, really well. So like let's throw it go into jujitsu mode. John Donaher.
Okay.
They
I
say
know.
that he's one of the best coaches in the world for jujitsu. I'd imagine that when he's talking at his school, that everyone probably starts to gather around. It probably turns into like a mini seminar nearly every day because of his knowledge base. Now, according to his own team, he's a guy that he's proficient and he can do it and he can smash a lot of people, but he can't smash some of the better jujitsu practice. He's not the best jujitsu practitioner in the world. They also have Gordon Ryan there as well.
Yes.
And then he's the best in the world, and he does it, and he looks,
Right.
jacked. So those are two guys. It's gonna be very easy for those guys to lead because they're gonna be leading from the front.
I allow me.
Mhm.
Do you mind if I retort on this?
Yes, sir.
Just a bit. Because you expressed two guys. One guy maybe can't beat the champions, but he knows it. But he can still tussle. So when it comes to health and fitness or creating the manipulation of having muscle on the body and fat off the body, I disagree with the statement that if the guy just knows it, that's a great trainer. The cool thing about studies or being in shape is you can get a whole bunch of 20 and 30-year-olds body still functioning right. There's no real damage to their bodies or metabolism and stuff, and you can get them in shape. And then it goes into 40s and 50s, and then it's a whole new learning experience. And for me, the guys that go, they were in great shape. Then they get to their 50s and 60s, and they're just a hunk of shit. I'm done with them. I don't care that they can tell you how to do it because there's little factors at that stage of the game on how to continue to keep in shape like that. And that's why I love the Robbies or the Arnolds or the Frank Zane or the ones that are still Steve Davis walking around. I would rather listen to them, or I'd rather listen to the guy that was fat in his 20s and 30s and got in shape in 40 and is still in shape in his 50s. I'm going to like that guy more. For me, health and fitness is such a visual thing on the knowledge. If you can't get yourself back in shape at 45 or 50, there is something you're missing that everybody else should know that's tough about that. And so that's where I fall short on going, I'm cool with the guru looking like he's not good. I'm done with that. I want you to be Robbie Robinson.
Right.
And it did okay. And if I go, that's too much muscle. You don't need that much muscle at 80 years old. Holy shit, I like it. But let's go Jack LaLanne.
Mm-hmm.
Range of motion, the ability with his cardiovascular and what he could do swimming and how he looked until how old? 94? Again, I'll listen to him and he won't talk about how the body breaks down the protein and your bioflavonoids are attached. I don't need any of that because health and fitness isn't that. Health and fitness is doing the most basic stuff every single day. And a mental approach of knowing you got to get up and do this again relative to the guy going, well, what you need to do is you got to manipulate over here and this is how your body is functioning. It's like, what's the mental approach that you've lost that I need to keep? Because most of these people ask you, what keeps you motivated?
Mm-hmm. A huge factor. Yeah. Yeah. I think, everything you said, I think is super valid. And we're in a physical culture, when you're talking about health and fitness, um, people are going to, put that up to like a microscope. But I think there's definitely still like a lot of value in what someone says. Like, um, Louis Simmons comes to mind. Now, Louis Simmons, he was a powerlifting coach, and then he lost a lot of abilities to still be able to do it. But he did share authentically on why he couldn't still do it. He told people all the time, like, "Don't be like me. Like, I tore this, I tore that." It was very hard for him to like get back into the game. He still though was a pretty damn good lifter, even as he got to be older. But it just kind of got to a point where I think he was in like too much pain. So I think the main question.
There's some knowledge there.
Yeah, it's crazy amount of knowledge.
He had
And-
more knowledge at that stage,
Yeah.
going, what I said to do it in my 20s,
Yeah.
switch this and this.
Yeah, right.
That's beneficial.
Right. And I think that it's going to be the easiest to get to lead people if you have knowledge combined with the look. You have the look, and you could share some information. Like you might be able to not have, you might not need the capacity to have the greatest information, but you need like one or the other or both in order to kind of lead. I think in fitness.
Off the wall question. I'm going to ask this guy here. I got a question. I'm going to ask you a question. We've had a lot of talks.
Oh, who's that
Yeah.
guy? Oh.
Because this is outside of me, it's outside of Mark. It's conversations that we've had with Frank and Robbie. Do they ever break down the science?
Fuck no. Yeah.
What do they break down?
The attitude, the mindset, just the mental approach. Not even, they just hit it. I feel like they're just in there.
But I think you're right, though. It's
Yeah.
the mental approach to it.
Right.
And so I guess what I'm getting at is when it comes to health and fitness,
Overheat.
okay, I'll just say it, that
Yeah.
when it comes to health and fitness, it seems as though it is the ability to be strong in your mind and have a philosophy degree or a psychology degree to how to continue to do the most basic work the best you can
Right.
as you age.
Mhm.
And that's a great coach. And still being able to do it and stuff.
If I asked Robbie his macros, he'd have no idea what I'm talking about.
And all he would say is, I had 6 ounces of protein and some broccoli.
Steak, potato.
Now let's go hit it.
That's it.
What are you guys talking about? Shut up. Let's go.
Mhm.
Hands are hooks. Push with the feet and the ball of your foot.
Yup.
We overheated this thing. That's my first overheat.
Yeah.